Bulletcast for life.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon Tanguma. Yes, it is my birthday today. The marathon continues. It never stops. Got to keep grinding out there, and I'm here to deliver some of that performance-enhancing audio to you people today. Got a lot of G1 to talk about, a lot of NXT to talk about. That's why I originally was thinking about doing the show on Monday or Tuesday, but then all the G1, Evolve, Fight for the Fallen, there was just so much wrestling going on this past weekend that it was kind of hard for me to keep up, but I got it all under control. I'm even all caught up with New Japan. I watched the latest episode of G1 today. Not going to talk about it. I'm going to give you guys a little bit moment to breathe. Maybe you guys haven't seen it yet. I know it can be challenging at times, so we're going to talk about up until night 4. So, 2 matches in the A block, 2 matches in the B block. Nice little round number to kind of talk about and see where things are going. Also, we have the latest 2 episodes of NXT. Yes, I've even going to cover yesterday's episode of NXT. And some late breaking news. CM Punk is going to be at Starrcast. He is, obviously, that is in conjunction, well, not in conjunction, but it is kind of running on the back of All Out Weekend, AEW. Starrcast continuously says it's not affiliated with AEW. CM Punk, the thing is in Chicago. He wasn't really affiliated with Starrcast when it was in Chicago last year. He did a signing for Pro Wrestling Tees, a company that he is a partner with, because he has his own t-shirt shop there. I'm not going to read too much into it. I'm not going to sit here and speculate that, because CM Punk's doing Starrcast, that automatically means he's going to show up at Double or Nothing or at All Out. He could have done it last year. He didn't do it. He could do it this year. Who knows? I'm not going to, get too excited and, bet the house on CM Punk showing up. But let's talk about some wrestling. And we got the G1 Climax in full effect. Obviously, talked about the show in Dallas, Texas. Great show, maybe a little bit disappointing in terms of attendance figures, but I thought all in all, great show. So now we're going on to the night 2 of the G1 Climax, the first night for B block action. We're not going to talk about the undercard matches all that much. We're just going to really just talk about the main the main G1 Climax matches. So first off, the first match in the G1 B block is Shingo Takagi against Juice Robinson, and Juice ends up getting the victory in 15 minutes, picking up the first 2 points of the tournament for Juice there. Shingo obviously was undefeated until he lost to Ospreay, and he's been kept pretty strong throughout the his run in New Japan. He goes up against Juice. He loses. I'm not gonna worry too much about Shingo. I think he's a phenomenal talent. He's a junior. That tends to happen with the New Japan booking system, where they kind of tend to when it goes to junior against the heavyweight guys, they always tend to put the heavyweight guys over. For the most part, we might see an upset here or there. Shingo taking on Tetsuya Naito coming up very soon. Going to be a very interesting matchup to see with them, especially with 2 LIJ members. But Juice, I thought he was really good last year. The story of his G1 was he had a broken hand, and it really limited his ability to do his offense, and he wasn't able to have that good of a run. I don't even know how many points he had, maybe like 6 points, if that. So not a good G1 for him last year, looking for him to bounce back. Thought a good match, good way to start off the night of action. Not as good as the Lance Archer Will Ospreay match, but you guys know how high I was on that match. But really good start off to this. And then next up we have Tai Chi against Jon Moxley, and Moxley picks up the win in 8 minutes. I thought it was a really fun brawl. Moxley also kind of worked in some chain wrestling a little bit as well, but Tai Chi, kind of gimmicky. He's the singer and he does all this other stuff, but I thought this was a really good match. Even though it was such a short match, I still thought they did the job there. Moxley getting the 2 points, good look for him, good start, and pretty good stuff all around. Next up, we have Tetsuya Naito going up against Toru Yano, and Toru Yano ends up beating Tetsuya Naito And despite Naito losing, I still think he's going to go on and win the whole G1 Climax, make it out of the B block, go up against Ibushi, and win the entire thing. I thought this match, it was only 4 minutes. Naito, as you would expect, did not take Yano very seriously, and it ended up costing him in the at the end. It was a fun little match. I mean, I didn't expect Naito to lose, but then he ends up losing, so it did catch me by surprise. And this is normally what New Japan does. The top guys. I mean, I'm not going to say it's channeling what's going to happen later on in the tournament, but usually what happens is the top guys kind of lose early, so it kind of gives them a building block for them to get on a hot streak at the end, and then they don't lose pretty much the rest of the way. I mean, maybe they'll lose one match in the midst of that, but it might be like a really big match or just maybe something set up down the line. But I'm not going to take anything away from Naito here. I still am with him as the favorite. And next up, a pretty interesting match, a Haas fight, and a damn good one at that. We get Tomohiro Ishii. Y'all know how much I love him. He was my superstar spotlight for the Bulletcast. He goes up against Jeff Cobb, and he defeats him in about 18 minutes and 30 seconds. I really love this match. It was a little slow in the beginning, but I think it really did pick up at the end, especially like the flash finishing sequence, the last 5 minutes. Absolutely tremendous. Great strikes back and forth. I believe it was Cobb. I thought he did like kind of a Styles Clash pile driver type move on Ishii, I believe. That's what it was. But I mean, Jesus, I highly recommend to watch this match. I thought this match was the best match of the night. Hell of a show. Hell of a match. What? Not much more to say of that. And then in the main event, we get Jay White going up against Hiroki Goto. And Goto ends up defeating Jay White, and I thought this match went 21 minutes. Good main event match. I thought it was fantastic. Right up there with Tomohiro Ishii and Jeff Cobb. I thought it told a good story with Goto getting training with Shibata to get better and to end his losing ways. Goto has been a little bit on a skid lately. So this is Goto trying to get back on track, and Jay White, obviously one of the top heels, if not the top heel in New Japan as of this moment. So good for Goto here. I thought it was maybe a little bit of a surprising victory. I thought maybe Jay White was going to win and have him kind of stay strong and be, a foe going forward for Naito or Moxley or some of the other top contenders in the block, or maybe he's a top contender, so maybe he's losing this one. He makes a late run, and I can't remember exactly what the schedule fits out, but maybe he's in there on that last night and just falls short at the end. Overall, good, strong start to the first night of B block action. Maybe not as good as the Dallas show, but I thought it was good. I mean, this B block action, this B block itself, isn't as stacked top to bottom as the A block, but there still are a lot of interesting matchups here, especially with Cobb and Moxley being in their first G1, so we're going to see a lot of different style clashes and a lot of different matches we haven't seen before. A block, it's a lot of the big names, a lot of matches we've seen before, some matches we haven't seen before, like Kenta's in there, and we're going to talk about some of his matches. But I thought, great way to start off the tournament in the B block. And so next up we have Night 3, the second matches for the A block. And we start off with Lance Archer going up against Bad Luck Fale, and Lance Archer wins in about 10 minutes. Not a whole lot to this match. I mean, Bad Luck Fale, it's kind of like the Toriano of this group. He's going to be there to kind of give the guys a night off. It's going to be kind of a hard-hitting match of sorts, but it's not going to be anything spectacular. I really did like the ending sequence where Bad Luck Fale was pretty much on Archer for most of the match, but then Archer kind of makes his comeback, and he hits the Everybody Dies Claw for the victory. I mean, I think Lance Archer has been a pleasant surprise in this tournament. I didn't really know a whole lot about him. I heard of him. I knew he was a tag team guy over in Japan, but I haven't really seen a lot of his work, especially singles work. And he's really impressed me. I mean, I know Will Ospreay, everybody can have a good match with him, and I like this match he had with Bad Luck Fale, and I also liked his match that he had with Kenta on the show that happened today. I'm not going to get into that, but I mean, I really enjoyed all three of Lance Archer's matches thus far. So very impressive performance by Archer. Maybe he gets a push. Maybe we can see him getting a surprise victory over Okada, and he can challenge for the IWGP Championship in the fall. Who knows? But that claw finisher is really over, and he's it's kind of a kooky, kind of old school finisher, but I think he really makes it work by using the claw. But it's not like the guys are passed out too much. He just kind of uses it and forces them down into the mat, and he uses his leverage and his height to pin them to the ground. So I thought really good match by them. And next up, we get Will Ospreay versus Sanada. Will Ospreay having 0 points, Sanada having 2 points. By the way, Lance Archer has 4 points, and then Bad Luck Fale has 2 points after that match. So Will Ospreay trying to get back on track, and he does, beating Sanada in 17 minutes. An absolutely amazing performance by both of these men, as you would expect. Will Ospreay is fantastic. He gets a lot of hype. Sanada, fantastic in his own right. Maybe a little underrated because everyone talks about Naito and Tanahashi and Okada and all those guys, but I think Sanada is in that mix as well as a damn good wrestler. Will Ospreay just absolutely on another level, just having match after match, classic after classic, and unfortunately, he was pulled from the show the following night where he apparently had some neck issues, but he was cleared and he wrestled against Ibushi. Damn good match, as you'd expect from those guys. Definitely highly recommend you guys check that match out from the July 18th show. So Will Ospreay getting on the board. And next up we have Kazuchika Okada against Zack Sabre Jr. Okada has 2 points. Zack Sabre Jr. trying to get on the board. And Okada wins in 12 minutes. A pretty short match, and Okada gets the victory. Sabre really had Okada in danger throughout the whole match, but just Okada worked on his neck constantly during the match. And it paid off in the end. Good match. Nothing super spectacular here, but I thought it was a damn good match as well. So then next up we get Evil versus Kota Ibushi, and both of these guys working with 0 points, losing their opener, so both of them are trying to get back on track, and Evil gets the victory. And the match was a little slow in the beginning, but I definitely thought it picked up at the end. Evil was working over Ibushi's ankle for most of the match, and that's kind of been the story thus far in Ibushi's matches, to where the spot where he dove over the ring, over the ropes, and Kenta kicks him in the ankle. That's really been a sore spot. An Achilles ankle, you might say, for Kota Ibushi. But Ibushi made a spectacular comeback, but just in the end, it wasn't enough, and Evil gets the victory. So once again, one of the other, standout, the leaders that people are picking to win the whole G1 Climax, ends up losing both of his matches, and he has 0 points through the first 2 shows. I'm still a believer in Kota Ibushi going on that run, and he's going to come out of that A block. So now in the main event, we get Kenta, who has 2 points, Tanahashi, who doesn't have any points to show for, go up against each other in the main event, and Kenta wins in 18 minutes and 30 seconds. This is just an absolute legendary match. 2 legends of Japan going at it for the first time. And it definitely delivered another amazing match and a string of amazing matches in this show. We've only had 4 nights, and yet there's been too many countless 4-star plus matches to keep track of. Kenta showed that he belonged in New Japan after beating Ibushi and Tanahashi, so they're definitely putting Kenta over strong, not trying to make him his legendary status in other Japanese organizations put over the New Japan guys. He's getting a good push. He's beaten Ibushi and Tanahashi. That's nothing to scoff at. 2 of the top guys in their company, and he's having good matches to boot. Good showing by Kenta, and I'm excited to see what he does in the G1 Climax going forward. Then we go on to night 4. This was on July 15th, and we get a lot of good matches. I thought the only standout match of the show was Tomohiro Ishii versus Jay White. As I said, Tomohiro Ishii, my superstar spotlight for the week, because I didn't remember that it was Jay White, but once I finally looked it up, of course it was Jay White. It was a fantastic match. But first, we're going to talk about Shingo Takagi against Toru Yano, and Shingo gets the win in 6 minutes. Just kind of more shenanigans by Yano. Shingo ends up getting the better of him in the end, so now Shingo was on the board. So yeah, that's it's a Yano match. I mean, how much more can you really expect from it? We get Hiroki Godo going up against Juice Robinson. Both of these guys have 2 points, and Juice Robinson gets the victory. I thought a solid match, not a whole lot to it. I thought it was a good, even back and forth contest between the two men, and they were just kind of looking to get the upper hand in the end. Juice wins by hitting a headbutt and the left hand of God for the win. Solid match. Really, I mean, it's a really good match, but when you just put it up against these other matches, it doesn't really quite get to that next level. So next up, we get Jon Moxley versus Jeff Cobb. Only 9 minutes. Jon Moxley gets the victory to pick up his next 2 points, staying undefeated. Jeff Cobb stays at 0. That was a good match. I was hoping that this match would go a little bit longer. We can get a little bit more from these guys. But I thought it was good aggressive attacks by Moxley here. Moxley kind of trying to out wrestle the wrestler was kind of a good story that they tried to tell in the match. But, I mean, they're putting over Jon Moxley, so the new guys with Moxley and Kenta, they're putting them over pretty strong in this match, or in this show. We get Jay White going up against Tomohiro Ishii. As I said, a fantastic match, best match of the show, one of the better matches of the entire tournament. And Tomohiro Ishii gets the win in 19 minutes, picking up another 2 points, keeping him undefeated at 4 points. And I thought this was an absolutely fantastic match. And there was some interference by Godo, but I think they overcame it, especially at the end. They had the false finish of Godo trying to come in and cheat and hit Evil, but Evil was able to overcome all that. He obliterated White with a flatliner. He picked up White again and hit him with a vertical drop brainbuster for the win. Definitely go out and check that match. Maybe the best match in Block B thus far. And in the main event of Night 4, we get Tai Chi going up against the IC champion Naito. This match is taking place in Sapporo, I believe, and this is Tai Chi's hometown. Not exactly getting the hometown hero response, as the commentators mentioned, but he ends up getting the victory in about 21 minutes. I mean, the match itself was honestly not that great. It was fine, 3 stars, but maybe a little disappointing with these guys. It was kind of gimmicky. There was a lot of outside interference. In the end, Tai Chi ends up putting on the iron glove. It's just kind of like this big. I mean, what do you think? It's a big iron glove. It's kind of sparkly. I don't really have a good look at what it actually looks like, but he wallops Naito in the head with it, and he gets the victory that way. Naito was playing dirty as well, so it was almost kind of like a heel matchup in a way, but Tai Chi ends up getting the victory. I wasn't a big fan of Tai Chi getting the win here. I know you want to put Naito in danger, and he hasn't been really. Maybe the story is he's not taking this too seriously right now, and then he needs to kind of get up back on his horse. And he lost to Yano. He should have beat Yano. He should have beat Tai Chi. So now he has to go up. He's going to face these other guys like Jeff Cobb and Ishii and Jon Moxley, these really tough opponents. Not saying that Tai Chi's not tough, but they're kind of on another level than he is. And my favorite to win the thing is that, I mean, both of them, as of this moment, out of these 2 nights, have not won a match yet. So shows how smart I am. So now we're going to go over the G1 Climax 29 standings through 4 nights. And in the A block, we have Okada and Kenta and Lance Archer all together at the top with 4 points. We get Will Ospreay and Evil, Sanada, and Bad Luck Fale in the middle, going 1-1, which equates to 2 points. And Kota Ibushi, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Zack Sabre Jr. down at the bottom with 0 points. Moving on to the B block, we get Juice Robinson, Jon Moxley, and Tomohiro Ishii at top with 4 points. Tai Chi, Shingo Takagi, Toru Yano, Hiroki Goto in the middle with 2 points. And Jay White, Naito, and Jeff Cobb down at the bottom with 0 points. So as of this moment, I mean, pretty much similar booking throughout. We get 3 guys on top, 4 guys in the middle, and 3 guys at the bottom. And so kind of mirror images of each other in both A block and B block. And I mean, looking at it, I mean, not a whole lot of. I mean, it's only 4 nights, so you can't really say too much of it. We'll talk about this in a week or two, and we'll really see what's going on. But really good stuff so far. And then in the A block, going through for night 5. No spoilers, but I thought the Hiroshi Tanahashi Zack Sabre Jr. match was fantastic, especially with the storyline of both guys being at the bottom looking for those first 2 points of the tournament to get themselves going. Evil Sanada, the two LIJ tag team members, former IWGP tag team champions, going out. I thought that told a nice story there. Fale and Okada, a lot of interference, and Okada has to try to get over all that as you would expect with Fale. In the main event, we get Kota Ibushi and Will Ospreay. Absolutely insane match, as you would expect, and as I talked about a little bit earlier, Lance Archer going up against Kenta, and I thought it was a fantastic match, and not a star-making match, but kind of another notch in the belt for Lance Archer to show, like, okay, this dude is legit, and it's not like, I mean, you can say that he was working with great guys in Kenta and Will Ospreay, but I really thought that Bad Luck Fale match showed a lot because maybe, sometimes, I mean, Okada sometimes can't get a great match or a really good match out of Bad Luck Fale, but I thought in the role that Archer had, he did a very good job at it. So moving on to the last 2 episodes of the NXT television show, we have this taking place on July 10th from Full Sail University. As always, commentators are Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and Beth Phoenix. They recap the Io Shirai stuff that happened. Io comes out and she's all dressed in black. She's all mopey, and all she does is she says, "I don't need any friends. I don't need any of you." Mic drop, and she leaves. Angry Io. I think it's good. I'm excited to see where they go from here. Obviously, the easy route for Io is to face Candice LeRae in her next feud. Either that's just an NXT, even maybe that's just a TV feud. Maybe it's just or maybe it goes on to be a SummerSlam takeover match. But I thought it was good, very short and sweet from Io Shirai. She's not going to sit there and cut a 5-minute promo in the ring. Her English isn't that good, so I thought it was good, short, and I thought it was effective. We get Velveteen Dream doing a press conference, and we get some unseen media people asking him a question, and Dream didn't like one question, and then we see Kathy Kelly ask a question about Roderick Strong and if he will challenge the Dream, and Dream says that he isn't ready to challenge the Dream yet. Roderick Strong, that is. They plug the Street Profits defending against Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch in the main event, and Damian Priest in action. And Damian Priest was in action in the opening match. We get Damian Priest going up against Blanco Loco. Good show. I mean, good overall. A fine squash match by Damian. Too nothing too crazy to write home about. But I think Priest is a good, solid heel. Maybe I would take Dijakovic over Priest as of this moment. I think Dijakovic, easy for me to say, is I think a little bit more well-rounded as a character. He has been on TV a little bit longer, but I think he is a better wrestler. And I think I would take him over Priest, but that's not saying that Priest is bad by any means. Next up, we go to the Breakout Tournament. In the first round, we get Jordan Miles, formerly known as ACH, going up against Boa, and he is a wrestler from China. And so, a good athletic contest between these two guys. And ACH, Jordan Miles, or just Jordan Miles, wins in 8 minutes. I thought it was good. I think Jordan Miles needs to maybe tone down on the smiling and kind of the laughing, enjoying himself a little bit too much. He did get serious when he needed to be, but I just thought it was kind of maybe not off-putting, but it's almost kind of like early Matt Riddle, where maybe he was just kind of too over the top in his laid-back personality. But now I think, as we're going to talk about in the next episode, I think Matt Riddle definitely has gotten better in that aspect. I'm hoping we see ACH get better. I mean, I really am a big fan of ACH. I know what he's done on the Indies in Japan and stuff like that. So I'm high on him. I know he can do good work in the ring. I'm just hoping that character work gets going. I mean, he's on the short side. He's probably not going to do that much in the WWE main roster, to be honest. I mean, unless if Triple H gains power by that point, he's probably just destined for 205 Live. So maybe he's one of those guys who Triple H is going to try to hold on to in in NXT, and just because he's probably not going to do a whole lot with Vince in charge of everything. We get a Shayna Baszler interview, and she says that recently the HBIC Mia Yim has called, or the interviewer asked about Mia Yim, and Shayna says that Yim has a great story, but it takes a little more than just a great story to impress her. The story always ends the same way: tap, nap, snap. Good, solid, short interview by Shayna Baszler. We get a look at Danny Burch and Riddle preparing for their match backstage. We get a nice Keith Lee interview spot type thing where he kind of talks about his last year, how it was, ups and downs, and he didn't exactly conquer what he wanted to do. They showed losses to Lars Sullivan. Are the double count up with him and Dijakovic. And he says that Limitless isn't going to cut it anymore, and now he is going to be the main event. He'll prove it by becoming infinite. So now his new catchphrase is the infinite Keith Lee. I guess it's okay. I mean, I wasn't really a big fan of the whole Limitless to begin with, so we go with infinite. It's kind of the same thing. But I mean, I liked the promo work and the story they told. Just kind of the ending was a little cheesy with him changing his catchphrase and his moniker. But we go, William Regal walks outside, and he was asked about his announcement for next week, and he says that people have come from all over to face Kushida, and that next week Apollo Crews is going to come for SmackDown Live to face him. I'm going to talk about that match a little bit later, and they announced that next week Adam Cole is going to defend his NXT Championship match, but they didn't say who it was, which is odd because usually every time it's a championship match, they're going to announce it for NXT. And in the main event, we have the Street Profits going up against Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan for the NXT Tag Team Championships, and the Street Profits win in about 10 minutes. I thought it was a really good match. Not takeover quality by any means, but I thought it was a nice, energetic match. And Burch and Lorcan were kind of the pseudo heels in this contest, just because Street Profits are super over as of this moment. I thought it was good. Not the best work by either team. Really good work for the Street Profits. I've kind of been hard on them and their in-ring aspect of things, but I thought it was good. And good, solid episode of NXT. Now moving on to yesterday's episode on July 17th. We start off with Matt Riddle taking on Arturo Ruiz. And Ruiz, I think he's been on NXT a few times. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. He comes out in the in the pants, and he has some ties on him, and really this match was really kind of a MMA type skirmish, you might say. And Riddle wins in about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I actually thought the match was a little bit longer than that, just because Ruiz was kind of on offense. Surprisingly, a good amount of time. But Riddle ends up making a comeback. He hits him with the knee, and he mounts Ruiz, and he hits him with a bunch of elbows, I believe, or just kind of pounds him, and the referee stops it. So Riddle by TKO. After the match, Killian Dane was in a black hoodie, and he jumps Matt Riddle, and he was just hitting him with senton after senton. He hits him, and he brings Riddle up to the ramp. He slams Riddle through a trapdoor at the top of the ramp. I thought maybe a little gimmicky for NXT at that ending sequence. I thought you could have just done, a simple slam. You don't have to do the whole trapdoor, the ramp caves in thing. But that was a good surprise return to NXT by Killian Dane. I'm high on him. If this is a match at NXT TakeOver Toronto, I'll be happy with that. I think Riddle is probably going to go over. As much as I like Dane, I think Riddle is just too valuable to lose. Yes, he's lost before, but I think I kind of like the Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt thing. If you're going to make me pick between these two guys, I'm going to pick Matt Riddle pretty much every time, because I think Matt Riddle is just a standout talent. And as long as he doesn't mess up behind the scenes or gets, a career-threatening injury, I think he's going to be a top person in this business. They go to the Street Profits, and they kind of talk about their NXT championships. and they talk about that someone thinks that it belongs to them. Talk about the Undisputed Era, and if they said that Undisputed Era couldn't beat them at Takeover, why? Uh, uh, Hold on, let me just run that back one more time. I'll say so. The Street Profits, blah blah blah, and someone thinks that it belongs to them. Says the Undisputed Era couldn't beat them at Takeover, and they won't beat them this time, and that's undisputed. So the Undisputed Era wants the Street Profits tag team titles, but the Street Profits are beaten before. Pretty straightforward, even though I made it seem super complicated because I can't talk. But a different Street Profits on NXT compared to what we see on Raw. Yes, they were a little, out there and a little crazy, but definitely not as annoying as they are on Raw. I thought this was a good spot, and it just kind of showcased how different they are on NXT compared to Raw. Moving on, we get the final match in the Breakout Tournament. We get Bronson Reed against Dexter Loomis. I don't really know who any of these guys are. Bronson Reed is an Australian wrestler. Dexter Loomis is some crazy guy. I don't know. He has a hell of a look. He comes out in these kind of light jeans. He has like a mustache and blonde hair. He has like kind of blacked out tattoos, and he comes out wearing kind of the biker gloves, and he has some sort of like spacey music. It basically sounds like a ripoff of the Stranger Things theme song, to be honest with you. But in the end, Reed gets the victory in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. They really put Dexter Loomis over huge in this match. I mean, the commentators are just putting him over how different he is and how strange and off-putting he was. And I mean, he's definitely someone to keep an eye out. The Full Sail people seem to like him, and he's seemingly going to be a heel, but I can also kind of see him as being a cult babyface as well. So definitely keep an eye out for Dexter Loomis. Bronson Reed, he was fine. He's kind of a big guy. He's almost kind of similar to Jeff Cobb in a way in terms of look. He was a good wrestler, but I just don't know really much about him. His character was pretty straightforward. So we're going to have to stay tuned and see what's up with Reed. We get the Kathy Kelly goes to talk to Tyler Breeze, and the Forgotten Sons interrupt him, and Tyler jokes about just them and who they are. And basically, Jackson Riker approaches Tyler, and they talk about him, and they challenge him. And so it looks as though we're going to get Tyler Breeze versus Jackson Riker. So good on that. And they do a recap of the Io Shirai angle, and Kushida goes up against Apollo Crews, and Kushida wins in around 11 minutes. I thought this match was a little bit too long. Apollo Crews is not built up that well, and Kushida had a pretty difficult time with him. I think that's kind of something that I was talking about, I think last week or a few weeks ago, to where you have these guys coming down to NXT and they're not really, when they're on the main roster, they're not built up as anything like Tyler Breeze is. And then if you have them go 50-50 and possibly even win, that could downplay and hurt the people down in NXT. I thought it was a good match, and they told a good story. Maybe a little bit long for my liking. I maybe thought Kushida should have put away Crews a little faster than that. But solid work by these men. Adam Cole comes out to a big babyface reaction despite being the top heel in the company. He says that he's been showing all these morons from the universe what a real champion is and what true power is. His boys have been taking care of business. There's an undisputed power switch happening in NXT. He's a fighting champion, all comers. He's ready to put his championship on the line. As a matter of fact, he's going to do it tonight against this man. And then we go to a video package of Johnny Gargano presenting the NXT championship to a huge fan in Cleveland. And we get, or one of his training people, and Adam Cole goes up against Tuan Tucker, and they don't really. I mean, obviously, with Adam Cole's being, going to defend his NXT championship, and they don't tell you who it is, you knew it was going to be some sort of bait and switch. And Gargano storms the ring and beats down Cole. We get a super kicks all over the place. They go to the outside. They fight into the stands. They fight back. To the back of the crowd, and Johnny fires up the crowd. The refs break it up after a few minutes, but they can't stop Gargano for long. And they pretty much end the show like that. And in the end, they announced that we are going to get Cole versus Gargano in a 2 out of 3 falls match at NXT TakeOver Toronto. But not only a 2 out of 3 falls match, almost kind of a throwback to the Attitude Era. We're going to get kind of a 3 stages of hell. That's not what they're calling it, but that's pretty much what it is, because there's going to be 3 stipulations on each of the falls. We're going to get Gargano is going to pick the stipulation for the first fall. Cole is going to, or well, I guess they're not going to say which number it is, but Cole is going to pick a stipulation for one fall. Gargano's going to pick a stipulation for another fall, and William Regal is going to pick the last stipulations. We have not found out what those stipulations are, but obviously with the coming weeks or the month leading up to NXT TakeOver Toronto, we're going to see what is going on with that. Overall, past 2 weeks of NXT have been pretty good. I've been enjoying the Breakout Tournament, especially that last set of matches. Dexter Loomis, as I said, interesting. Don't really know anything about him, but I'm hoping he's going to get a push later on down the line. I was kind of surprised that he was winning, but then when he that he wasn't. But when I found out that he lost, it kind of made sense, because they put him over so strong to have Reed end up get the victory in the end. It made a little bit of sense, but I don't think Reed's going to win his next match. So we actually have some questions, not from the UTR mailbag, but your boy Copenhagen Smith, frequent DM slider on the Bulletcast. Copenhagen, if you're listening, don't be afraid. I have the Bulletcast Twitter account. If you want to slide into the DMs, just put in like UTR in the thing. Just say this is for the UTR show or whatever you want to say, and I can answer the question as well if you don't want to just tweet it out to your millions and millions of followers. But anyways, we're going to get to the questions. He has 3 questions for me for today. He wants to know, what other things do you want the Bulletcast to accomplish? I mean, I think obviously, we want to expand our viewership, expand our listenership. You want to support us? Want a birthday present for me? Go to ProWrestlingTees.com, go to the Bulletcast, buy the shirt. I think Philip said if enough people buy the shirt, we're allowed to get multiple designs up there. So we get more designs, you get more shirts, you sell more shirts, we get more money, we can expand the podcast, we can do other fantastic things. Obviously, try to do some press pass stuff. We're trying to do something with Starrcast and go to Chicago for All Out. Get some interviews. I think, just interviews and some other things. With the podcast world being the way it is kind of diluted, where there's just so much stuff out there that's kind of hard to stand out. So obviously, it just kind of maybe takes 1 or 2 things to click for the podcast to really take off and hit that next level. Number 2, who on the indies now would you like to see in NXT? So that's kind of a hard one, because the indies and WWE and AEW have all just kind of swooped everybody up. I don't really, probably should have prepared a little bit better for this question, but I don't really know what you would consider indies. But I'm not like the biggest person when it comes to like knowing all the Evolve and all kind of the other lower level indies. But I mean, if you're going to talk about maybe ROH or Impact, people I think should sign to NXT. I think obviously Tessa Blanchard, Jordynne Grace, 2 of the top women, not just in Impact, but I think in the women's wrestling world period. I think those 2 are a fantastic talents that should definitely go to, I think Jordynne Grace and Tessa Blanchard are WWE ready, but I think that's just kind of something that they do from time to time, or usually every single time, is where they put people who are probably main roster ready, but they just go to NXT to learn the WWE formatting and the work rate and everything like that. On the men's side, I think you can go to the Evolve show. I think Austin Theory, I think we talked about on the Bulletcast this week. I think he is a fantastic talent as well. That's the first time I've ever seen him wrestle, but I think he is a damn good young talent. And Marty Scurll, I think, is kind of an Adam Cole-esque wrestler, but I think he's going to probably go to AEW if he doesn't stay with Ring of Honor. Flip Gordon, I think he'd be a good fit, but I think he's kind of another one of those guys who's really tied to the elite as well. But I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I think NXT right now is in a good place talent-wise, I think they have a lot of good people, both in the Performance Center, NXT, NXT UK, and they're also trying to expand globally and try to find some other non-wrestling people to wrestle for their company. His final question is, how do you feel that the Total Bellas / Diva shows have impacted WWE? Maybe a laughing question to some, but I think this is a legitimate question just because that there have been kind of storyline implications from these reality shows. I mean, you get the John Cena Nikki Bella feud going up against Miz and Maurice at WrestleMania. You get the Bella twins and everything that happens with them. I think you can also see that some of the wrestlers have kind of turned babyface because of Total Divas, like Lana. Her whole Russian persona has just kind of stopped. She's just Lana. She's doesn't have an accent anymore. She's just American, I guess. But I mean, we have seen some sort of, storylines or kind of things that play into Total Divas kind of leak onto the WWE show. I mean, I don't think it's super canon. I mean, it's not like, straight up canon where everything that happens on Total Divas and Bellas and everything is going to, be inserted or going to be known by everybody on WWE television. But I think from time to time they use it, especially when it comes to those kind of upper level divas, you might say. But I mean, another thing is I don't really understand why for some of the wrestlers, I think I've talked about this a bunch of times, some of them use their real names, some of them use their fake names, like we see with Naomi. They call her Trinity, but then they call like Alexa Bliss Lexi, and they like say Lana and Natalia, and I don't know, it just doesn't really make any sense to me. But that'll do it for me for today. Thanks, Copenhagen, for sending in a question. If you'd like to send in a question, slide into the Bulletcast DMs on Twitter. Just use UTR in the tagline and just let me know that this is for UTR. I'm probably going to do another show early next week. We're going to get 3 more shows, or 2 more shows, I believe, out of the G1 Climax. We're going to recap the latest 3 shows of the G1, possibly some other late breaking news. So get those questions in. If you don't want to DM us on Twitter, you can email me at utrmailbag@gmail.com. That's utrmailbag@gmail.com. Thank y'all very much for tuning in. Make sure to check out that TJP interview Philip did. It's on the It's on the Bulletcast. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram. Pretty sure it's all plugged up there as well. I'm going to do another episode of the Bulletcast on Wednesday. Maybe Philip's going to do a Black Power ranking or some other different podcast of that ilk this weekend. That'll do it for me for today. Goodbye and good night. Bye.